쌀쌀하네. 오늘 1일차 일정입니다. 노르웨이는 스페셜티 커피를 집에서 먹는 문화가 굉장히 발달되어 있는 나라라고 들었거든요. 라이트 로스팅의 대명사 같은 노르딕 로스팅의 본고장이기도 합니다. 그래서 오늘은 이제 노르웨이에서 유명한 브랜드들을 함께 돌 건데, 일단 먼저 수프림 로스트웍스, 노르웨이 국가대표이자 세계 챔피언인 오드스타이너가 창업한 카페고요. 저희가 내일 오드스타이너를 만나기로 했어요. 포르쉐랑 콜라보한 매장에서 만나기로 했고, 오늘 가는 곳은 로스터입니다.
트램 전용 도로인 거 같으면서도 지금 보면은 자동차들이 다니는.
저희 또 노르웨이에 대해서 우리 척척 박사님,
정확히는 스웨덴이 통치하는 국가였는데 1900년대 초반에 국민투표를 통해서 독립을 했습니다. 독립을 했을 때는 서쪽에 살기 힘든 좋은 땅은 아닌 곳을 받았는데 1900년대 후반에 유전이 터지면서 잭팟이 터진
알고 보니
그런 나라.
노다지였다. 노르웨이가 물가가 높잖아. 우리 저기 맥도날드 들어가서 빅맥 얼마인지 봐볼래?
좋아. 맥모닝 하나 먹을까? 맥도날드고 좀 이따 와서 뭐
빅맥
있다.
미디움.
여기서 이렇게 선택하고 보면은 120 정도 되니까 여기에 15,000원 정도?
한국에
2.5에서 3배 정도 되네. 거의 뭐 쉑쉑 먹는 느낌이네. 여기 미용실도 있네. 그래도.
저기다. 슈프림. 슈프림 로스트웍스. Hello.
Either the Ethiopian or the Kenyan. My favorite is the Kenyan.
03 size of the V60 with the Ethiopia cadet and one batch brew.
And one espresso, please.
Batch brew, do you want just a small cup or do you want...
Small cup, please.
Yeah, and one espresso. Do you
One
want a single
espresso.
or double?
Single, please.
Where are
Yep.
you guys from?
Korea.
South Korea.
Oh, Korea.
한 23,000원 되겠다.
23,000원.
Yeah, there's still space. So here we have the...
batch brew.
The espresso.
Thank you.
와, 에스프레소 엄청 빨리 나오네.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
How many grams of coffee do you use?
50 grams.
How about the 01 size and the 02 size? How much the coffee do you use?
02 is 32 grams, and then for the 01 it's 20 grams.
20.
3인분 시키는 게 이득이네.
Where in Korea are you from?
Sour.
One of my best friends live there.
Really? And can we know the water temperature?
Yeah, I think it's around 90 degrees. What's your favorite thing to do in Seoul? If you had to recommend one thing to do.
So one thing, just one thing.
한강.
Han river and enjoy the fried chicken.
Norwegian like filter coffee or espresso or latte?
Drink coffee like all day. Like one for breakfast, one for lunch, one for
Got
like
it.
between them. Right.
Here, 800 grams of water.
Thank you. Thank you.
That one of the Kenyan one are the two favorites.
Good. Thank you. 한 5분 정도 걸렸던 것 같아요. 5분? 한 4, 5분.
이런 50g 대용량 넷버크를 처음 먹어봤는데 비타함이 있긴 한데 방해되진 않는 것 같아요.
나는 대용량이어서 엄청 걱정 많이 했는데 생각보다 괜찮다.
맞아.
생각보다 맛있다.
대충으로 얼마? 되게 주시하고 너무 막 향기가 도드라지도 않고
도대체 좀 안 되는 것 같아. 커피가 좋아. 생도가 좋다. 부정적인 맛은 전혀 없고, 그리고 에티오피아가 가지고 있는 어떤 꽃과 과일 너트들도 밝은 색을 표현하는 기보다는 좀 더 어두운 색을 표현하는 느낌이고, 밀크 베이스 에스프레소 느낌이긴 해. 6컵에 우유 이렇게 딱 해서 먹으면 진짜 맛있을 것 같아. 에스프레소도 훌륭하다.
괜찮다.
난 개인적으로는 조금 농도감이 높다. 얘가 케냐였지. 그렇지. 블랙커런트 느낌이 완전 더 강하다. 단맛도 되게 좋고, 화사한 꽃이나 시트러스한 느낌이 이렇게 빡치기보다는 약간의 시트러스와 그 단맛이 굉장히 중간에 짜서.
The same setting we used for the 0.3.
really? 한 200, 1300 정도 나오는 것 같아요. 01 사이즈, 02 사이즈 가면은 아까 말한 거 들어보면 좀 더 이제 곱게.
Thank you. The coffee was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
It was a great having you.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Can I film the roastery a little bit? My name is Ansar.
You mailed with the
Yeah.
I'm the other owner.
Ah, really? Good to see you.
욱진.
Yeah, this is a washed Ethiopian. On the lowering, you can't basically hear that. It's a little more delicate and elegant style.
Why are you decided to use this machine?
We have this importer in Norway. I think Dietrich is better than most other smaller roasters. We are looking into buying probably a Loring.
Many specialty coffee companies use Loring roasting machine in Denmark.
Because the importer in Scandinavia, I think, is in Denmark, in Copenhagen. Also, when you get over a certain volume, if you're buying a bigger Dietrich, you need an afterburner to burn all the smoke. But with the Loring, you don't need an afterburner. Loring is more expensive, but if you're buying a Dietrich and an afterburner, it's the same price.
The spring roast was have a blend, own blend, or
No, we never do blends. We only do single varietals.
Why never do blend?
Because it doesn't necessarily need the same roast as a Colombian or Brazilian coffee. So if you roast them together, you will not get the maximum out of every single coffee that's in the blend.
Supreme coffee works also roast point is very light, right?
I think we're still on the lighter side, yeah, sure, but we're definitely a little darker now than 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Farmers, producers, they're not doing the same thing all the time. Nature is not giving the same thing all the time, so you have to adjust to what's inside the bean.
오후에는 이제 팀웬들보 로스터리에서 팀웬들보를 만나기로 했고 지금 가는 곳은 카페입니다. 카페 먼저 들렸다가 이제 오후에 팀웬들보를 만나러 갈 것 같아요. 되게 가깝네 여기. 팀웬들보
다
카페가.
걸어 다닐 수 있어.
야 진짜 조용하다 근데.
차가 없다.
도착했습니다 드디어. 커피인의 성지.
저기요. 깜짝이야. 팀웬들보가 추구하는 스타일인 것 같아요.
약간 이런 진짜
이런
진짜
느낌.
부드럽 스타일이지 않냐 이게? 한번 메뉴를 봅시다. 한 잔 먹을까? 온두라스 에티오피아.
와, 맞아.
이거랑 74112 이거.
More fruity or more balanced?
아, more fruity.
pretty. Thank you. 이게 보니까 검은색 포장이 약간 Thank you.
We like fruity, intense, with blackberries and blackcurrants taste.
맛있다. 오, 깨끗한데?
깨끗하지? 크리네. Thank you.
아,
온두라스?
미쳤어. 와, 이거 맛있다.
너무 맛있어. 뾰족한 단맛. 정말 단맛이 좋은 커피다.
와, 나 이거 너무 맛있다. 로스팅 포인트가 이 정도 추천이면은 약간 플랫해야 되거든? 근데 얘는 좀 질감이 되게 좋아. 실키해. 단맛이 좋고.
맛있네.
에티오피아 약간 망고나 패션프루츠 같은 계열의 주스 먹는 것 같아. 디테일이 완전 살아있어. 수출이 너무 좋잖아, 이게. 너무 좋은데?
그 디테일한 부분은 또 에스프레소에 주는 물은 스파클링 워터.
조용해주는 물은 그냥
탭워터인 것 같아. 그냥 여기 수돗 물.
이런 플레이팅이랑 이런 게 너무 섬세하고.
저 설탕도 스푼 위치 봐봐.
소름 돋네.
야,
스푼이 너무 정갈하게 있는 거 아니냐?
아, 내셔널 바리스타는 없어 아예. 그냥 다 월드야.
Excuse me? All the filter coffee use the AeroPress?
Yes.
So are there any reason, special
Yes,
reason?
number one, it's a very easy way to do a filter coffee. Also, we can multitask. It's like a showroom, so we also show how easy it is to brew with the AeroPress.
Wow.
And it's the main distributor of AeroPress in Norway. So up till now, we chose the AeroPress.
Thanks for the explanation.
And of course, that's what we're here for. Also brewing coffee.
아, 이런 디테일이 너무 좋은 것 같아. 이 노력의 정도를 알잖아. 이 디테일을 잡기 위해서 얼마나 이런 카페가 집 앞에 있다?
말 다 했네.
아, 이건 미쳤어, 이거. 다 먹었네? 나는 개인적으로 이번 여행에서 가장 맛있어. 필터로서.
슬슬 나갈까? 그러면?
와, 여기 자전거를 타고.
전기자전거야. 야, 북유럽 사람들이 비만율이 낮은 이유가 언덕이 많네. 하둘 왼쪽 건너편에 있는데 코너 살짝 꺾어서 50m 위에
여기다.
여기다.
잡아. 고수. 아, 도착했습니다.
또 Hello.
Hello.
Peru with a 360. Got it.
Where are you from?
South Korea.
Oh,
Korea. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go.
Oh,
really?
you should visit. The specialty coffee scene in Korea is getting growing.
Yeah,
And-
I used to see that on Instagram.
And a lot of people in Korea are curious about the Nordic style, the Nordic roasting, the Norwegian coffee culture. So that's the reason we came here.
Most Scandinavian countries.
Yes.
Coffee.
Good. Yeah.
Not Sweden.
Not Sweden, really. Not really.
Only Scandinavian country that swears by super dark roasts.
Super dark
really?
roast.
Oh yeah. It's like borderline French dark roast.
Oh,
So
really?
weird. Here you go.
Thank you.
Opened in 1997 and it looks exactly the same.
This branch,
Yeah.
this store. Wow.
1997년?
오픈해서 똑같은 모습이고 약간 거의 성지 같은
그러네. 약간 여기에 스페셜티를 하는 사람들한테는 좀
Do you know the processing of this coffee?
English, but it's very dry.
Very dry.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah, so it's quite sweet.
yeah.
Yes, I can feel the sweetness. I like the Peru coffee also.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy Norway.
Yeah, thank you. 직원분들이 너무 유쾌하고 너무 재밌어가지고
완전 유쾌해.
약간 기분 좋게 만드는.
여긴 것 같아. 29구.
어디? 아 여기?
Hello, we are the team from the Korea. We have a meeting with 팀웬들보 at 1:30.
Yeah, of course, come in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
우샤.
와.
Oh. Hello.
hello.
Hi,
Wow.
team. So you are the guy who got the phone call?
No,
No, actually.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Ansar.
Tim, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
My name is
too.
Ukjin. Good to see you, team.
Nice to meet you.
Today's all done?
No, we don't roast on Tuesdays. We roast on Wednesday and Thursday.
I see.
Thursday.
This is our some of our team members.
Hi, guys. Hi. Hello.
Malin is doing marketing and subscription. Ben
awesome.
is our wholesale manager. And this is our lab, which is also a bit messy now, but we're preparing for a big event tomorrow. This is normally where we do training, tastings, seminars. I don't use it very often. Like we normally test on the same equipment.
So what's your routine for a day?
So Monday morning I go to the shop and I do the tasting of all the coffees we roasted the previous week, just to make sure the quality is where it should be. Most of the times I do it with one of our roasters. Every day a little bit different. So at the moment I'm doing more office work because I'm planning some travel in the next month. Coffee buying season is starting. So most of the coffee we buy in January, February, March, April, May and August. We can start in here, I think. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
This is Mats, he's the team leader in the roastery. He's one of the roasters, and also there's one guy called Daniel who is roasting. So there are two people roasting. So today is actually labeling. We're roasting, I think, 20 batches tomorrow. Every day before we roast, we will label all the bags, and then so that tomorrow we can just produce. You know, we don't have to do anything like that. So all the batches we're gonna roast tomorrow will be pre-measured. Most of our coffee comes in vacuum. The only country where we don't do vacuum is Ethiopia, and that's just because they don't have the machines yet, but we prefer to get our coffee packed in vacuum. If you're shipping in a container and you have high moisture, low moisture, the coffee will not be affected. So this is our small storage, and in here we have maybe coffee for a couple of weeks, and then we order, it gets delivered every Monday. We have new coffee coming in. This is our lowering machine, of course. We do roast 35 kilos on it, but most of it is 30 kilo batches. So we try to keep consistent on the batch size. After roasting, when it's cooled, we measure the color with this color track. It has to fit a certain standard. If it doesn't, we will either measure again. If it's still outside, we will not sell it. That's our kind of most important quality control. Actually, last week we had 2 batches that were much slower than normal, over a minute slower. We couldn't get it to roast faster, even if we put full power on. We thought it was something wrong with the roaster, but then I looked at all the other numbers, like the exhaust temperature, the inlet temperature. They were all the same. So we know that we measured from the right bag, but sometimes an exporter might have sent you, one bag of wrong coffee or something. And also when we measured color, it was a completely different color. Then we knew we cannot sell this coffee. If it passes, then we put the coffee here. This is a lift, so it will automatically lift the coffee up to the top here. Inside you have like 2 cameras that analyzes the color of the coffee. Give a little puff of compressed air on the beans we don't want. And the beans we are selecting out are the Quakers, so the very light beans. And also if it's like a very dark bean, there might be still a stone in the coffee or something. And then the good coffee goes in here, where it's sent to the packing machine on the other side. So a person will sit on the action pack there and measure out the bags. And right after they're measured, it's vacuum sealed with nitrogen flush straight away. So that's basically the roastery. It's not very big or complicated. Are you sure you don't want some coffee? Let's see, what's your favorite coffee?
Ethiopia coffee and
What's the Ethiopian? I'll get a new bag here. We're not too fancy here, we just use the filter brewer. Because we never had a big presence there. Depends on the country. Korea, I don't think it's a big problem.
What's your recommendation of aging time of your coffee?
It depends on how it's stored. So if you don't open the bag, you leave it in a cool room, not necessarily the fridge, but like room temperature. You can easily keep it for 4 or 5 weeks with no problem. I prefer myself to leave it for 1 to 2 weeks before I open it. That's normally when the coffee starts to taste really good. I normally recommend the resting period of minimum 1 week. Our coffee in general is very light, so the degassing is quite slow. There's not a lot of gas and also less pressure, so you have slower degassing. And we also flush the bags with nitrogen, so that means the coffee stays really good for at least 4 weeks. And we have actually had coffee that is returned after like 3 months, and then we taste it and it still tastes good. But when you open the bag, then you need to drink it fast because it goes.
What's your roasting time?
Depends on the coffee, but normally around 10 minutes. If it's high moisture coffee, it will take maybe a little bit longer. If it's a very low moisture coffee, maybe a little bit shorter. Also our espresso is slightly longer than filter, but not much, maybe by 20 seconds. Yeah, but around 10 minutes I would say is the kind of target we aim for. And sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 9.
Many Korean people call light roasting as a Norwegian roasting.
If you bought coffee from the supermarket in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, you would have anything from really dark roast to very light roast. So there is no such thing as Nordic roasting, I would say. But in the quality coffee, maybe roasters in general roast lighter than what was traditional in the US and Japan. At least 10 years ago, if you went to Japan or the US, all the coffee shops would have really dark roast. And now there's much more diversity. Like the biggest supermarket brand in Norway, they roast pretty light. And they have been doing so for, 30, 40 years. So it's not something we invented, it's always been around. But we kind of made it popular maybe in the specialty coffee industry.
You more like washed coffee?
Yeah, I personally prefer washed coffee. Coffee in the bag should reflect my taste. That's why we do buy the majority is washed coffees, because I prefer to taste more the variety and not the process. So of course, washed process is also a process. But it's much easier to taste the differences between a geisha and a bourbon if it's washed than if it's a natural. Then it's more difficult to taste the difference between a geisha and a bourbon. We do buy some honey processed coffees from Los Pirineos in El Salvador. And that's because he doesn't have water on the farm. He collects rainwater, so he does something we call semi-washing, which is still some fermentation, but he washes the coffee with a mechanical mucilage remover. So there's always a little bit of mucilage left. And then we do buy some honey process from him as well. We're not necessarily looking for how much mucilage is left on the coffee. We are more interested in when we taste the coffee, does it have a dominant taste of process or not? And if it has a lot of ferment, we don't buy it. If it's clean and tastes more like the variety, then we buy it. We don't buy anaerobic coffees just because they're trendy. We buy the coffees that I like, and I cannot stand those coffees, to be honest.
why you changed roasting machine from Probat to Rory?
Like we had a very old Probat from early 1900s. It's not the same as if I'm talking about a new Probat machine, because they are two completely different products. But that old Probat machine was very sensitive to ambient air temperature. So in the winter, for instance, when we open the door in our store, the roaster was just by the entrance. And in the winter it's like minus 20 degrees outside, and it would get a lot of cold air going into the roaster. The lowering is a closed system. Because it's a closed system, it's easier to be consistent. And also the fact that we don't need an afterburner on it, and we actually save energy. So because it recycles a lot of the heat, so from 2017 to 18 we roasted the same amount of coffee, but the bill at the end of the year of 18 was 30% lower after we changed to the lowering. And one of the things that I like with the lowering is that it's because it's a hot air roaster, so convection. Even if you fail a little bit and roast maybe a little bit too light, the coffee still tastes pretty developed because it's a more efficient way of roasting with the hot air. When you do like drum roasters with a lot of conductive heat transfer, easier to get a little bit more kind of roasty flavors from the outside and maybe some more green flavors on the inside if you don't roast it well. So of course you can get rid of this if you roast it well, but I just found it easier to have a good development on the coffee and still have a quite light color. So this is what we do. And people say we are roasting darker now. We're not, because we measure the numbers. So I know exactly where we are. So I think any machine you can roast good coffee. You just need to learn how to do it. If I say that I roast for 10 minutes on my lowering, that might not be the same for a 5 kilo Probat or a 12 kilo Dietrich, you know. It's all about trying to understand the machine and seeing its limits and figuring out how to roast the way you prefer it to be roasted. For me, it's like buying a car. Some people like Toyota, other people like Renault, you know. You'll still be able to go to the same place, but it's about how you feel comfortable going there.
This is a coffee from Korea, one of the famous Korea specialty coffee brand. This is one of our favorite brand. It's called Center Coffee.
Guatemala, Geisha.
Oh, Santa Felicia. I know this farm.
Do you know Sango Park?
No.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
너무
너무 좋았다.
좋았다. 우리 솔버게 한산으로 바로 튀어볼까?
어.
바로 이동해 보시죠.
Do you know Sango Park?
Yes.
어.
He used to work for Square Mile.
That's true.
This is his company.
Ah.
Korea.